Go Home! The true story of James the cat. This is the life of James, a homeless cat told to us by the mom in the book. The family makes some assumptions about a cat when they first see it. Those assumptions turn out to be wrong. This is a good lesson in how we shouldn't judge anybody by their appearance. Author's note. Dear reader, this is a simple story, but it needs to be told. You may have read about cats who survived a tough city environment. I have, and I've been deeply touched. This book, James' story, tells the true events that happened to an aging lost cat in a peaceful, safe neighborhood where everyone assumed he had a home. James made us open our eyes a little wider, and he surely made us open our hearts. I hope when you read about James, the same thing will happen to you. Libby Phillips, Megs. The black cat could not remember who had put the collar around his neck, or when. It had been buckled on when he was smaller and younger, before the long time of being lost. Now the collar was too tight, and he had trouble swallowing. In earlier days, he had been a strong and swift hunter. These days, he looked for leftover food by the back doors of houses where other cats lived. One evening, at the end of winter, he found the home of Charlotte and Emily. When he looked into their sunroom, the other cats hissed in surprise. The black cat hid in the shadows and watched as Charlotte and Emily's people came to see why they were upset. He listened to the kindness in their voices and liked the gentle way they calmed the tabbies. The tabbies are the other family's cats. He stayed the night and all the next day hidden in the woods behind their house. When the people came out to the yard, the children cried, "Look at the pretty black cat." The woman stooped and held out her hands, calling him. He came trotting. The woman gently scratched between his ears. It had been so long since anyone had petted him. He sat up and hugged the woman's hand. "I think he's lost," said the boy. "No, he's somebody's cat. He's wearing a collar," the girl pointed out. "But it's awfully tight," their mom observed. They didn't know how tight it was, how hungry he felt, or how their friendly words and kind hands made him wish he were their cat. They told him good night, and he watched from the edge of the woods. Watched as the lights in the house went out one by one, and long after that, watched the darkened windows. The world grew warmer. Springtime brought new baby birds and bunnies to the yard. The black cat saw them from the woods. One afternoon, the people spotted him again at the edge of the yard. "It's that nice black cat," called the boy. But the girl wondered, what if he eats the baby animals? They didn't know he was not fast enough to catch anything. He made his way to the woman, who patted him, but then said, "You need to go home now," and she squirted the hose at him. The cat stumbled back to the woods, confused. He did not know where home was, and the only person who had ever been kind to him had just told him to go there, and squirted the hose at him. Summer came. There was no rain. The cat tried to stay cool as he hid in the woods. There were no puddles where he could get a drink. Even the creek dried up. He watched a turtle walk across dry sand where cool water once had flowed. He knew what it was like to be hungry all the time, but now he was even more thirsty than hungry. Then suddenly, one night, a huge, horrible storm appeared. Wind screamed, thunder shook the earth, and lightning crackled like white fire. The cat ran for cover as rain beat down in sheets. He found a dry place under the people's shed. At last the storm left, grumbling and snarling across the sky. The only sound was the dripping of water from the trees. Water. The cat crept across the lawn to drink from a puddle. He was almost there when he heard the growl. "Urgh." A monster of a dog flashed his huge teeth in the moonlight. With one leap, he had the cat in his jaws. The cat twisted and clawed until the dog dropped him to the ground. Before the dog could snatch him again, the cat slipped under the shed. The dog was too large to follow him there. The cat listened, terrified, while the dog sniffed and whined around the little building. The dog did not leave until sunrise. The next day, the cat crawled to the edge of the shed. There stood the kind woman. "Oh, you poor cat, you've been terribly hurt." She saw where the dog had hurt him and how very thin he was. She took off his tight collar. No fur grew where it had cut into his skin. "You've been lost a long time," she cried. "If only I had known." She picked him up and held him close. He remembered being held before, but how long ago it had been. The children came out to see the cat. "Mom, he needs help right now," they said. "Let's take him to the veterinarian," she replied. They rode in the car to the veterinarian's office. The doctor examined the cat carefully, then cleaned his wounds, put medicine on them, and even gave him a shot. Through all of this, the cat was very well behaved. "What a good, brave cat he is. He's lucky you found him." "I have a feeling we are the lucky ones," said the woman. The children agreed. "These wounds will heal," said the doctor, "but he will always have a hard time walking. He should become a house cat." The black cat wondered what a house cat was. Back at the house, the children had put a cozy blanket in the sun for the black cat. He had not felt anything so warm and soft since he was a kitten snuggled close to his mother. He loved his toys, too. Being a house cat was not bad. Every day he felt stronger. His leg dragged a little, but he soon learned to get around very well. Before long, Charlotte and Emily came to see how friendly and good-natured the cat was. The family talked. "He's such a wonderful cat. Somebody must be missing him. It isn't right for us to keep him." So they advertised in the newspaper and with signs around the neighborhood. But no one came and no one called. "Well, we've tried," they said, smiling. "He must be our cat now." Being their cat was a good thing. As autumn came, the black cat grew sturdy, frisky, and full of fun. The family tried lots of names for him. Murph, Mr. Boots, Boo, Chester, Benjamin, Tommy, but none of them seemed right. Whenever these names were called, he left the room. Finally, at Halloween, some trick-or-treaters came to the house. "James, hurry up, James," one little witch cried out to her brother. The black cat jumped to the windowsill as if he had heard his name. The woman saw this. "James?" she called. "Are you James?" He came to her, purring grandly as if to say, "Yes, I'm James, your cat from now on." No harm ever came to James again. Nowadays he loves to watch the children's aquarium. From the sunroom he is amused by the backyard birds, bunnies, and chipmunks. When James plays in the yard, someone always goes out and stays with him to make sure he is safe. The family cuddles and feeds him. They sing to him and play games with him. In the daytime, James has his blanket downstairs in the sun. At night, he sleeps upstairs with the family. The day is long past when the woman told James to go home. James purrs as he lies by the fire with Charlotte and Emily, while winter's winds cover the world with ice and snow. This is where home is, he thinks, smiling. My home. The end. This book really affected me. I've always put food out when I've noticed a feral or homeless cat in my neighborhood. I always wonder what their history is. They usually won't let me get close to them at first, but after a while I can see them trusting me more and more. Some of my most loving house cats started out just like James. The author, Libby Phillips Meggs, is an accomplished illustrator who wrote this book when she had a story to tell. It's her family in the story, and James is her cat. If you have a story you would like the world to know, start writing it. Often the best stories come from our real-life experiences. I've heard that there is a story in each of us. I can't wait to hear yours.